fair, like, students helping to create some kind of a game fair, and families would be involved in that. Also providing professional development to parents on topics to help them support their students. We've got new standards rolling out. We've got next generation science standards and English standards and math standards, and social studies test is going to be changing grades down the road. So things like this, these are great ways to have families get the information, even do things with it. And then opportunities like project-based learning can extend well beyond the school and involve families as well. So some of that expeditionary learning and whatever, PTO can definitely get involved in that and helping with that.
Well, we look forward to working with you. So.
I'm sorry?
We look forward to working with you. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Any other questions? You look like you're thinking about something.
I was just thinking along the lines of the PTO and getting the families in and doing more things, because I'm a parent and I'm a teacher in the building. So I've been a part of the PTO and things like that. We definitely want more parent involvement. We want more things, more activities for the kids and everything like that. Just a lot more fun getting them together and getting everybody together as much as we can. But I know we're also coming out of a pandemic and everything, so things is a little bit difficult.
Right.
But we're looking for things like that. So.
Yeah, and I've seen and I've led some really fun activities, jam the night with reading a story with the principal and hot chocolate and paper snowball fights. And
Yeah, things like that are great. Yeah.
With us.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember what a regular school year is like, so
Yeah.
No,
it's hard
it
to
is,
remember
but-
what the regular
Yeah.
questions are for a regular school year.
Yeah.
But
Well, my
I-
girls are 16, and she has a 16-year-old as well, and they went through Edson, and then we have fourth graders in here as well, and she has a kindergartner coming in. So it's like we've seen different things throughout time, different activities that they've done. We definitely enjoy it,
Yeah,
Comes from the top down. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And I feel that that's another example of being visible, of as many of those events
Yeah,
as possible.
yeah.
Like here, this is our collective school. Let's
Mhm.
do this together. And drawing ideas from parents and then helping them to come to fruition. So they've got this idea that grew organically from a parent group, trying to make that happen so that they can see that there is this opportunity for this collaboration, this connection, and sharing ideas. Hopefully will draw more in.
I'm sorry, I'm really new to Edson. I mentioned my student just talks to me people, so I don't know what is currently happening because of COVID in terms of original after school. How you said, like, do you have any thoughts on that? I don't already know what has already existed, but like what that might look like. I
think you're probably handling it a little better right now.
I don't know who's question is for.
So, to answer your question, we currently have the Y program as the after-school program here. There were other, PTO, PTA activities here, but we did not have an after-school program. With that being said, with the funding that we've received, we are looking at putting after-school programs in all of our elementary schools, and I'm currently working with the Y to offer programming, and it will be at no cost to families for the first 2 years based on the funding. So we currently put the programs in place, so the Y will be here next year. And I don't know if I was officially supposed to say that. But we just finalized the contracts today, so we are looking at the Healthy Kids program at Robert Graves and Meyer continuing, but again, also at no cost to our families. And we're looking at the Y here. Crosby and Chambers, they already have their licensing in place, and then we're looking at expanding the TOPS program to 5 days a week, with all programs ending at 5:30 after school, open to all students. So that is one of the things that is in the art proposal that Dr. Padalino is finalized today to submit. And I've been currently working on all of the contracts and getting the staffing in place with the groups. We were not able to staff it ourselves, so we thought it was best to use our community providers to help us support after-school learning. So that will be coming to Edson.
That's
So
amazing.
it's very exciting.
Just one more quick question about that. Is there any history or thought of having anything like centers around extra programs in science or math or anything like that? I know that's
Those are my two
specifically
favorite
science.
things. Math and science are my two favorite
I
things.
happen to have a child who's really excels in some of those areas, and so I'm just curious.
So currently, right now, we are working with the Y, but we are looking at expanding all of those opportunities and what we can do. And of course, a building principal would really lead a lot of those initiatives that would happen through the PTA or PTO or different grants or bringing in community-based providers. So if you want to speak to some thoughts on that.
Right, I was just going to say math and science were my two favorite subjects to teach because it could be so hands-on and so creative. And like I mentioned before, some of the project-based learning. Well, science is where the project-based learning really came alive for my students in my classroom. And I've got students that write back to me about projects that they've done and things that they've done. An example is a weather unit. 5th grade was big for us for our weather unit in our district, and I wrote a lot of that. It was actually part of writing curriculum for the Jason project, which I have other connections to, and I still have connections to. The Jason project was founded by Dr. Bob Ballard, who found the Titanic, and he wanted to bring science into the classrooms. And I was using the Jason curriculum in my classroom. It changed every year. One year I had the amazing opportunity to be one of their Argonauts, teacher Argonauts, and I got to travel with students. Collectively there were 8 teachers, but we had 24 students that we took to Panama to do rainforest research, like hands-on in the rainforest research. And I was lucky that my district supported that because I was bringing it right back into our classrooms as well. And the following year after the rainforest research was a weather unit. And I actually contributed to writing some of the curriculum and then carried it out in my classroom, which was really cool to have like a manual that you actually wrote some of these lessons and here you go, or tested them, like that others wrote. And through the unit, one of the things that we did is studied storms. And as a result, my class decided that they really wanted to focus in on hurricanes. And so again, project-based learning, that was what they were interested in. How can you build a better house that would sustain a hurricane? So what did we do? We built houses. We built mini houses. Often they started them at home, or they brought things in. They came in early, they stayed after school. Families would help, sometimes at home, sometimes at school. Kids would get together after school because they were so excited about this. That wasn't something that I said they had to do. We had the opportunity to build it in our classroom. But they built these hurricane-proof houses. Some of them were cardboard and plastic wrap. Others were Legos. Some were actually building them out of wood. But what happened then is we had a hurricane. We took kiddie pools and put them out on the playground. We took the big industrial fans, the big ones for the cafeteria, put them outside. We had the high-powered hoses, and we made a hurricane. And we watched the results. And then we improved our houses because some of the houses failed, some held up. So what can we learn from this house that held up, that one didn't? How can we carry that out? So the kids would build it and rebuild it and carry it out again until their houses met their standards, or until we ran out of time. Over a couple of days, it was the end of the school year when we did that. But I have students that still write back to me and say that was their most memorable experience ever, and they're in science. I have somebody who's working for SpaceX now, building rockets, and she comes back and she's like, I remember when we made those solar-powered hot dog cookers, or things like that, because it was so much fun for her to carry those experiences over. Those are the kinds of things that I want to see happening in classrooms, and those are the things that I would support. And around math, around science, you can do a lot of things like that with social studies as well, and then of course bring it all together with your literacy skills through ELA. And this is a really great opportunity to examine all of that, because we do have new standards falling into place. And there will be assessments tied to that, but the more important thing is what kind of skills and what kind of learning are these standards going to provide our students with to make them ready for Bailey. And since this timed out, my last slide on there kind of circled back, and I had that same image that I had on the second slide with a little silhouette of a child. Just kind of coming back and bringing it back together full circle. So again, if you have got other things, other characteristics, other skills that we want our 4th graders to have, feel free to contribute to them. And if I'm here, we'll continue to see this and continue to build those. Yes?
So this is a really interesting time to start a new job as a principal from the background of the pandemic. And I know the district has talked a lot about the challenges facing kids, not just in terms of the learning losses, but really in terms of social and emotional learning support. And I'm just curious what kinds of things you feel might be useful within the school environment to support that, and maybe also the ways in which you can help teachers
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that teachers are really going to have to pay very careful attention to, as they get to know their students, to get to know them, get to know their needs, get to really get a sense of who they are and know, where and when they might need to reach out for help. But for me, the first thing I would have to do is know my staff and understand the systems that are in place, and take a look at where the systems are strong and continue that, and use those systems to provide that support for the teachers, for the students, and for the families. And again, I think that's where my being visible too, and just even getting a sense every single day with every child that I'll greet, getting a sense of where they are, and you've got, you can see affect in body language, and you get a sense already if somebody's coming in who might have had a bad morning. It'd be really easy to pull them aside and say, hey, how you doing, are you okay today? And even just start with that, and having the teachers do the same thing. But knowing who the staff members are, knowing who to help get the support to that child, to that family would be really, really critical. Something else that I feel is really important, I'm glad there's a bilingual family worker here too, because that's going to be somebody that's going to be important for a student who is not yet English proficient, a student who is on their journey to developing proficiency, but having someone, and myself included, having someone to talk to in a language that's so personal, and it'd be very hard for me in Spanish. I mean, I'm English dominant, but on my Spanish, I've got some decent skills, but it'd be very hard for me to share my deepest emotions or something that was troubling me in Spanish, because I might not have the right word choice to get there. So I think it's important as well to ensure that our students who are Spanish dominant have the opportunity to talk to somebody in Spanish, so that they can communicate their needs as well. That's all part of that social emotional well-being, but we definitely have to make sure that our kids are in a good place every single day, because if you can't think, if you're not prepared for learning, we're not going to be able to make that same kind of impact. So it's really important that we are in tune with what each child needs, and to support them from there. And again, those systems, putting the right people in place, and contacting those students, working together with them is really important. Anything else? Well, I'm hoping that this rain cooled it off outside a little bit, so I don't think anything too crazy moved through, but several days of 100 degrees and humidity has been a challenge. So, how is everybody doing with that?
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Also for you, and also for the community, we were now not able to live stream this. We had some technical difficulties, but we are going to put this session on YouTube immediately after it's finished. And then we also have the thought exchange, which maybe Mrs. Siri can talk a little bit about, but we'd love to hear your feedback. Ms. Lowell is our candidate that we would like to recommend for this, but we want to do it with your feedback and your input, absolutely. So we would really love to hear your thoughts. So the thought exchange is, if you want to explain on the website,
Sure.
We'd love to hear from you. So, and please encourage, parents and staff within the community to give us their opinion. We're very excited to hear it. So
I don't even take that my time. So you're all about to get a text, if you haven't gotten it yet, a text and an email that has the link to the Thought Exchange on it. If any of you participated in our first Thought Exchange for the federal funding, it's the same kind of thing. You can put in your input. You can rate other people's input. We encourage everyone, every parent, staff member, and faculty member at Edson is getting this same link, so that you guys can all go in and give us your feedback. The question is, do you or do you not approve of this candidate and why? We would like to know why. So if you haven't gotten the link yet, it's coming any moment now. It was set for 7 o'clock, so
We got it.
you did get it. Perfect. Look at that. See, there you go. So go ahead and click that link whenever you want to. I'm going to leave it open for at least 2 weeks, but I know that Dr. Felicello does want the feedback. So if if you have friends who have the link, feel free to share the link. Any incoming kindergarten parents who are not in that yet, you didn't get a link because you're not in the system. If you want to participate, I can give you my email address before you leave tonight, and then you can email me, ask me for the link, and I can send it directly to your email. So I can do that for you tonight before you leave. But that's what the thought exchange is. So please participate. We really want everyone's feedback. If you have friends, family who go to the school, encourage everyone to participate after they've watched the video or just from what they see in town.
that we heard.
So again, we've got our fourth graders up here. Feel free to contribute to those if there's anything you want to add.